For those who don't know me, I'm Roger Burnley, and I've been carrying something for a lot of years, for 36 years, and um, it's important for me to share it today. And you've probably felt something's different within you, and something is different in our world. And we've all seen it for many years. And Wilhelm, who I've been writing and channeling since 1989, called it a restructuring, that everything was going to shift, that we were going to move through this great shift. Now, I doubted this. I resisted it, and I actually ran from it, to be quite honest. And today it's more important because it matters in in our lives and probably in your world. You have been feeling something, and so I want others to really understand. In 2005, I had this dream, and I was in a somewhere with these spiritual leaders or something, and we were asked who would do something, and I ran forward. It felt like I volunteered, and then I said, "Why me?" And then what I did is I put it away. I said, "This is not me," and I'm going back to my life, and I put it away. And then in 2018, it was brought back to me. Wilhelm did that. It was in a message just to have me remember. And I was resisting it because I didn't want that responsibility. I didn't think it was going to be me. And then in 2021, when we knew the world was changing, well, actually, Wilhelm started telling me in 2020 that we were in this restructuring. Um, Everyone was focused on the pandemic, and they said it's much greater than that. And in 2021, the shocking thing, I'm out for a walk, and they say, "We have given you everything you needed to know in 2012." And that didn't make any sense to me. And I came into my home and I went to my computer and I found a folder that I hadn't noticed, that I hadn't seen was there, and it said Wilhelm. And it was shocking. And then they told me, "We've given you a philosophy for your new world because you're going to move through changes, and it's called your life operating instructions." And I said, "Still, that makes no sense." And then they did something else. They said, "And if you meet someone, if you come across someone, we've given you a message on their birthday in 2012 because we want them to know their right place in the world as you're moving through this time." Still, I'm doubting all of this. And then they said, "What we want you to do is pull people together and and give them this work, pull them together because people would need to come together for strength or something." And so I still doubted it. So I went and had two Akashic Records readings done. I had never done that before, but I needed some confirmation. And the very first person I went to, she said, she did the reading and asked for it. She says, "I think I'm supposed to be following you." And I pushed that away again. And then I still was struggling. So I had another one done later that year. And then she said, "Yes, you have this memory, this ancient memory. None of this is making sense to me." She says, "You go back to Egypt, and back then you were mummifying people." That didn't make any sense to me. She says, "But here in this world, in this lifetime, you're supposed to be opening the minds of people, and you were given something." And then she started to say, "Operating." And when she said that, I just broke down in tears because I couldn't ignore that anymore. Then, when this came about, I decided, okay, I've got to try this. I put these people in a group. They said, "Just put people in this program," and I called it 4 weeks to your best life because I wanted to test it. I wanted to see. And what happened the very first week, um, I was shocked. In the first week, I was shocked because I didn't look at anything that they were doing. But then when I did, I saw this, what was coming through them, and it just didn't make sense to me. And then Wilhelm said that's the way it was supposed to work. And then they said, but that's just the beginning. And so then they said, you got to do more because people need to stay in it because we're going to still keep going through it, which we are now. And they said it was going to be this shift of power, money, control, all of those things. And we needed to come to a higher state within each of us. And that's each person, because each person had something that they were meant to bring to the world to cause it to become what it could be. And this work would help them accomplish that. And after that first group, I just was so taken back that, and then I started seeing everything they had given me, given us, was showing up in the world, all of it. But I got stuck. And then I knew that I could no longer do that. So what I have done, because I need everyone to understand, because um, my life has been a little unbelievable from what I have moved through and what's happened. But this work is what changed everything, which I could not have explained. But I know that it's time that others need to understand. And in anticipation of some meetings I'm going to have, I had to just tell the whole story. So I've written the full story because I want people to really understand what this is before I make changes tomorrow, because um, it has to be done. When we don't own who we are, we can't really live the lives we're meant to have. And me holding this back is not becoming my authentic self because I feared it. I doubted it, as you probably have as well about certain things. So I'm doing this because if you are a person who is looking to take that next step, wants to come in, I invite you to come in. Or if you're someone who just wants to understand what's going on in the world, I invite you to read the article and you'll see. But there are other people who might be interested in helping me to take this work a lot further. And so that's why I really had to tell everything. I'm not a person who has normally done that. I've held so much of it back. So much of it was too challenging to talk about. But because of what has resulted from it, I can't really do that anymore. And that's where I am today. So I've written the article, and so I will leave a link for you to see it and go from there. But I do invite you to, if you're ready to move to that next place of who you are, because that's what we're all doing. And this was guidance that Wilhelm has given. And those who've read the work, you probably understand that we're always evolving, and this is meant to take us individually and collectively to a much higher state of consciousness and being where you are seen, valued, and honored. Thank you so much for being here.